Last time, hey everybody. Alright, it's currently Monday, January 24th or whatever day it is. Yeah, 24th. Currently heading eastbound on US 190 in between Menard, Texas and Brady, Texas. Basically working my way over toward the Coca-Cola facility in Waco. Where I'll be delivering tomorrow morning. But, yeah, we might see this before or after that. I don't know yet. Haven't decided what I'll do there. Not because I will be recording that, at least the arrival into the Waco area today on this same footage, the same SD card, whatever, but I'll have to do the delivery tomorrow morning. And I'll also be doing a 34-hour reset while I'm there. Meanwhile, figured right now not much going on here. I'll go ahead and get to some of your guys' questions that I haven't bothered to get to yet. And I'll give you guys some scenery to look at while I'm doing it. And this is kind of some of the scenery that I don't normally get to show you guys. So, yeah, if you want to find Menard, Texas, M-E-N-A-R-D, that's where I just departed, not even 10 minutes ago. And it should be a little bit more than 20 miles from here to Brady, where I will be making another turn. While going through that town there. Nice little area there. Anyway, now let's get to some of these questions here. First couple of questions that I'm going to address are coming via email from Khalif Abdul Samad. Khalif, thanks for your questions. I'm going to start with the first one that you asked back in mid-December. That is, will points be counted against you if you have a mechanical failure and the load ends up being late? So the answer to that one is no. If you're a company driver at least, or you're leased onto a company or a carrier who's ultimately responsible for the load, and that will not count against you. It may count against the carrier, but even then, I can't say for sure that it'll even count against the carrier, because I don't know how customers are about delays caused by mechanical breakdowns. They do happen, and they're beyond the driver's control. But I know that carriers will not hold that against you if your load ends up late because of a mechanical breakdown. Like I said, it might affect their on-time statistics, because they have so many loads that they do with the customers, and especially if it's contract freight. They have a contract to do so many loads per year, perhaps. And there's some big ass turkeys there. So I think it was a turkey. I don't know. It looked like a turkey, wild turkey or something. So yeah, they have a certain number of loads they're supposed to do per year, typically with those contracts or per quarter or whatever. And they also have a certain on-time arrival percentage that they're trying to shoot for as the target. That's part of the contract, and if they fail to meet that contractual agreement, then the customer can basically have more reason to look at going with a different carrier for those contracted loads for that lane. But you as a driver, no, it won't count against you. Your other question here, which you asked on December 26th, by this guy here. You asked, do you have any tips on parallel parking? I started CDL school the last week of January. Okay, so parallel parking, I'm going to have to break this down a little bit here. there's CDL school parallel parking, and then there's real world parallel parking. And actually, I asked this very question to myself when I was in CDL school myself. In what situations do you really parallel park? A lot of people have the misconception that you don't parallel park in the real world, but that is a farce. I can tell you many times that I've parallel parked. Every time I go home with the trailer, I parallel park. There are a number of rest areas on, let's say on I-80 in Nebraska or Wyoming or whatever, or even other places. You go into a rest area there, you're going to be parallel parking. But CDL school way to do it versus how I do it in the real world is massively different. They're gonna explain to you in the CDL school exactly how they want you to do it, and they may even give you some kind of mnemonic. Don't know if English is your first language. I can't remember where. I don't recall if you ever told me where you're from. But just in case you're not sure what a mnemonic is, would be like if you're trying to remember a certain sequence or something, like name the Great Lakes. Okay, there's a mnemonic called HOMES, HOMES. Those are the 5 Great Lakes. That's the initials for each of the Great Lakes. So Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. So those are the 5 Great Lakes. If you just remember HOMES, you remember what the initials all start with. Same kind of thing here with parallel parking. They may or may not teach it. I did not get taught this myself, but I know a number of drivers who came out of CDL schools saying that they did get taught this. I don't remember the exact what they worded it was, but generally speaking, all you really do for a parallel parking when you're in CDL school and testing for your CDL itself is you basically line up. You're going to have like a pylon more than likely, and you're going to line up let's just say the pylon's to your right side. You're going to line up the pylon that you're going to have to line up behind. You basically park behind somewhere around where the side marker light is, around the middle of your trailer. I can't remember exactly where, but it's in that area. Okay, so remember, if you're parallel parking to your blind side or to the right side, if you're driving in America with a left side steering wheel like I have here, the first turn is going to be a hard matched. Every time you do this, you stop completely. And this is also where it causes problems when you're actually in the real world doing actual real world training after you have your CDL. Okay, so you start, turn your steering wheel all the way to the left, as far as it'll go, and then back up, and then they'll tell you use that side mirror and watch your landing gear, and when it's about 3/4 of the way across, where you can see the sand shoe on that side, and then you're past the croc. Well, depending on the landing gear setup, some landing gear have kind of an X setup like that, and you want to go about halfway between that X and the other sand shoe, which the sand shoe is the part that actually contacts the ground. Somewhere around that. That's about the 3/4 mark. Other trailers don't have an X-style, cross-style landing gear design. A lot of them might just go straight across. So you just kind of figure out where about halfway is and go, about halfway between that and where the other sand shoe is expected to be. Once you get to that 3/4 point, stop completely, turn the steering wheel all the way back to the right, back up again and do the exact same thing, where instead of looking in your right mirrors, you're going to your left mirrors and looking for the exact same thing. You're going to see about 3/4 of your landing gear structure in this mirror. And then stop again, I need to turn your steering wheel all the way back to the max left again. And go back, well, it doesn't matter, actually check both sides. And then back up again. And while you're doing this, you're looking to square back up with the trailer. When you're done with it, you should be right behind the, right in between two pylons. One in front of you and one behind you, or one pair that's in front of you, one pair that's behind you, or something along that line. That's one of the maneuvers that is required demonstration for your CDL. There's another one called an offset backing, which is very, very similar. The only difference with an offset versus a parallel is how much of the landing gear you see when you stop to turn the other direction. So I told you on parallel parkings, you go to about 3/4 of the landing gear, until you see about 3/4 of the landing gear before you stop. On parallel parkings, you only go about maybe half. Right when you see about half the landing gear, then you stop and turn the other direction and then move again until you see the other half, and so on. Okay, now, parallel parking in the real world. I do have some videos here on my channel of me doing parallel parkings. You're going to see that I do it way different. What I do is, say there are already two trucks on the road that I want to park in between, or two vehicles. It doesn't matter if it's a truck or a car. Any video you find where I'm going to Victorville, California, where I'm parking by my house, it's a pretty decent chance you're going to see me parallel parking there. Not a guarantee you will, but pretty decent chance you will. And what I do there is I'll basically, once I get past the truck that I'm going to park in front of, or the vehicle I'm going to park in front of, I get around them and then I'll start diving in toward the curve. Make sure I'm aware of where my trailer's at, though. I want to make sure my trailer's going to clear them. I don't want to just pull right in there like I'm in a car. Because remember, my trailer's going to take the shortcut route to that same position. So I want to make sure I'm not going to take the nose of that truck off while I'm doing this. Come in there, get my tractor tires right by the curb, and then go through the gap there as long as I can before I get to the guy who's up in front of me. Usually my tandems are still going to be out in the road a little bit, to some extent, maybe halfway into my spot and halfway out into the road. So what I'll do there is I'll get as far as I can before I have to turn out to avoid the guy in front of me. Kick it out to about the middle of the road. And what I'm looking for is for the trailer to angle toward the curb. Not as too steep an angle, but not too shallow an angle. Basically, I want it to be enough where I should be able to see most, if not, most of the truck that's behind me, or the vehicle that's behind me, if not all of it, by the time I start coming back. I got to stay aware of where the back of the vehicle I'm going to park behind is as well. Okay, so once I have that angle for the trailer, I square up with the trailer, so I'm pointing straight along, where I can see down both sides of my trailer. Once I do that, I start coming right back in a straight line, and I'm watching specifically my trailer tires on the curb side, and I watch them, and just before they get to the gutter, the gutter being the concrete part that where you can see the clear difference between the concrete and the asphalt. Basically where the road surface meets up with the gutter and curb. Okay, the gutter and curb are the concrete part, and then the asphalt is the road part. So just a little bit before I get to the gutter, the concrete, I start steering max right. And what that's going to do is start off tracking my tractor to the left from the trailer. Now, I don't want to keep steering all the way right as long as I can. I just want to steer right long enough so I have the tractor going toward the curb at an angle that I like. I don't want it to go toward the curb at too steep an angle like that. And I don't want it to be too shallow an angle, because there are trade-offs there. One, if you you don't aim right, then your trailer tires are going to probably run over the curb, and hopefully there's no fire extinguishers or other stuff over there that you got to worry about. Or if you pick too steep an angle, you might not give your trailer tires a chance to get all the way into the gutter before your drive tires get over there and cut off the trailer's angle that it needs to, to get all the way in there. And also, the steeper the angle is that you come in toward the curb out with the tractor, the harder it's going to be to time getting the tractor to square back up. So in other words, once your drive tires are where they need to be, when your drive tires are almost in that same spot as the trailer tires were when you started that first turn, just before your tractor tires get into the concrete, start your max left turn, and then hopefully your steer tires will get back over there to the gutter at the same time your drive tires are getting right by the curb. And if you timed everything just right, played all your angles just right, it's just going to be so beautiful and easy. Most people, I can't even parallel park a car. How the hell am I supposed to parallel park a truck? Okay, follow the simple steps. Just, watch the angles. Don't get too overkilled, and, watch what the timing is on that, too. Like I said, get the right angle for your trailer. Just before you get to the gutter, start your hard turn. Get the tractor angle in toward the gutter. And then right before the drive tires get to the gutter, start another hard turn in the opposite direction. And then the steer tires should get to the curb around the same time as the drive tires. If it's done perfectly. Don't have to be perfect. It'll get you in the ballpark though, but that's how I do them in the real world. And like I mentioned, I've had several videos here on my channel where I actually do parallel park. I may do another one just because I think I do have one where I have my 3-camera system in here showing it. But if not, I will have to shoot. May have to do another video where I have all the cameras together showing it. I know I have one when I had my previous camera, the 2-camera system, but I don't know for sure if I have a 3-camera system view of it, or a 4-camera if you include the camera that you're seeing me through right now. Okay, so those are the questions that Khalif asked. Thanks again for asking those. Let's go on to something else. Let's see. Okay, I also had some questions from Brandon Kelly. Some of them are in comments. Hopefully I didn't miss any of yours, Brandon, but because I kind of push them into a separate folder, so I can kind of try to remember where I put them into a notepad, a note app on my phone. So I try not to forget, but sometimes I forget to put something in one of them. Okay, not too long ago, I had a delivery at the Walmart distribution center in Shafter, California. And while doing that, I passed right by Ross Distribution Center and Didi's Discounts Distribution Center in the same lot. And the question came up via Brandon. It was actually a good question because he wanted to know, does Ross own Didi's Discounts? I can't believe there's 2 major companies. The road's bouncing a little bit, so it's hard to glance real quickly and see what I'm looking for. 2 different companies share the same distribution center. So on that one, Brandon, yes, that is true. Ross, apparently Didi's Discounts is a subsidiary of Ross. I did not know that myself until that video, and I kind of got the same idea as you. And after you had asked that question, I looked it up, and sure enough, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Didi's is a subsidiary of Ross. Alright, next one. Let's see what we have. Okay, another question from Brandon. This was comment on pickup at the Saputo Bardsley facility in Tulare, California. That video, Brendan asked, it says, man, it's pretty rainy out there in Cali. Yeah, at that particular time it was. How much rain does Cali get to compare to the other states? I would say it really depends on what part of California you're in, to be honest with you. Where I'm at in the desert, I live in the Mojave Desert, we don't get much rain at all. Maybe 3 to 6 inches per year is all we get, which isn't much. I'm at 452 right now. Double check how far away I am from. Okay, I'm 2 miles away from Brady, by the way, and 3 miles away, I think, from their downtown square area, whatever. I think that's the one where I cut off. Yeah, that's correct. I'm pretty sure of it. But you can be in other parts of the state, like especially if you're in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Yeah, that goes up from central. It's like kind of splits eastern and western California up, starting around central Cal, and goes up into Oregon. During the winter time, that mountain gets a lot of snow. In fact, Mammoth Mountain, which is one of the larger ski resorts in the U.S., that is in the Sierra Nevada range, along US 395. Okay, I want to say it's going to be a left turn coming up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a left turn up there by where that gas station is up ahead. And then I'll follow that down, and it'll go down a hill, and there'll be like a city square right there. I'll have to go around the left side of it in a clockwise fashion, back around to the other side of the square, and we'll continue through that. Oh, that's a 45 zone. What are you doing? I'm looking right at a 45 sign. Why am I doing 42? Okay, well, yeah, wintertime, they get a lot of snow. In fact, I don't know if you heard Donner Pass, that's part of the Sierra Nevada range. Just this last month, around that same time that I did that video, might have been that same storm, they actually had record snowfall level where, I can't remember how many feet up their snow level was. It was up there, I think 160 inches or something like that, or, I don't quite remember there being a traffic light here, but, come on. There's a Stripes here that does have truck fuel, by the way, for those of you guys, if you ever come through here and want to know where there is for trucks. Yeah, right before I started recording this, I was at a truck stop in Menard, right there in front of where 190 splits back off to the east toward Brady, which Brady being where I am at right now. AC on a little bit. Okay, so yeah, they get a ton of snow in the wintertime. I can't really say for sure what they actually get during the summer months or during the actual normal rain season, but I do know, like, I want to say like the San Bernardino Riverside area down there on the other side of the Cajon Pass from where I live and where I spend a lot of time as well. I want to say they get maybe a dozen to 15 inches or so per year. So nothing like you're gonna get like in Seattle or somewhere or Oregon, but it's not as dry as where I'm at. I always my times being in different parts of the country, or even like in Hawaii or Guam or whatever. You learn pretty quickly the greener it is, the more rain you can expect to see. So, like Hawaii, everybody pictures Hawaii being so green, and always sunny. Like it's always surfing weather and all this kind of stuff. But then when you go there, you realize, yeah, it's green for a reason because it rains a lot. Yeah, it rains more than you might think it rains there. And my time in Guam too, very, very green there. Lots of palm trees all over the place, a bunch of other kinds of trees. Alright, so I got the square up straight up ahead, the town center, whatever. We're going to go around again on around to the left. There's going to be a traffic light right there. Yeah, again, it would be pretty much every day you would get at least something for rain in Guam. And I always made a joke out of it because they said, yeah, it said like 20% chance of rain on a particular day. And I figured out what that means is that 20% of that particular day is going to get rain. Or if it's 30% chance of rain, it means 30% of the day you're going to see rain. It's just kind of, I can't believe these lights are being this nice to me. I've never had that before.
Attention, a new important message has arrived.
Okay, it is just after 2 p.m. on Monday. That only means one thing. The national, what are you doing, dude? The national average fuel price thing update just came out about within the last hour. And that message means that JCT just sent the message out saying what the new average is and what the fuel surcharge is. I'm going to have to wait on this guy here. Okay, so simply put, California, as far as rain is concerned, it really depends on where you're at. You can get a lot of it, especially if you're in the mountains, or you can get very little at all, like where I'm at. Yeah, there's always that joke saying whatever, it never rains in Southern California, but you saw in that video, that's a lie. I mean, it happens. Okay, I'm going to be making a right turn up here, not too far up. Within about a mile, be a right turn to stay on 190 here. Stay focused on that. Make sure I don't miss the turn. I don't want to end up going up toward a different city that I don't really want to go. Well, in this case, it won't be a big deal if I do. If I do miss my turn, I just keep going until I get to US 84, and then I'm not gonna go east on 84 to straight from stay on 84 all the way into Waco. But that's not the most efficient route in there. So yeah, I'm gonna make this right turn where this pickup is at, and you might have seen that other semi that I had seen earlier going around the other side of the square. He just turned this way as well. Remember, if you're new at trucking, watch your tandems. Even if I know I'm going to clear the turn, I want to make sure it's good practice. Yeah, that way you don't get any bad habits of not paying attention when you really need to be paying attention. And second, you can perfect your turns by seeing how well your trailer tracks around the curve there, or the corner there. If you swing too wide, or and it comes back in or something, or does it come in too heavy, or is it just perfect? Those little indicators that you like when you're watching will help you out with honing your turning skills. Okay, got about 10 miles to go to Rochelle, and about 40 or so miles to go to my turn in San Saba. Where I'll be hitting State Route 16 to head up to US 84 in Goldthwaite, I think is what it's called. Alright, anyway, we'll get past this bull holler real quick, and we'll get to some more of these questions. Alright, okay, another another one from Brandon Kelly. This was in the Bolt House Farms pickup video in Bakersfield, California. That was from December 27 is the date that of that pickup. So Brandon asks, you pick up at Safeway, do you, or saw that video, Tracy, what's she say her section here, pick up at Safeway, and do you have any delivery pickups for Safeway anytime soon in the near future? It's that same pickup and trailer I saw earlier on the other side of Menard. Yeah, sure is. Okay. Yes and no. I do go to the Safeway DC in Tracy. I also go to the Costco DC in Tracy. I also go to the once in a blue moon to the I'm brain farting on the cheese place. Not Saputo, but the other one that we do. They have a facility in Tracy as well that we do pickups from. But now Safeway and Costco, I don't do pickups there. I do deliveries, and it's very random. There's no telling at all when the next time I'm going to end up with a load going up in that area is going to be. So couldn't really tell you when I'll be there again. It's very irregular and random when you're OTR. So I assume you live up in that area based on the way you were asking that question. If you do, I can let you know, I guess, next time I'm up there. We'll possibly meet up. Okay, so that's not a question. Let me pull up. Get around this curve. There's like a group of messages in there, in the same message that I kind of glance at. Okay, my video about the JCT lease program explained the numbers. A viewer named Andre King asked the question, do you think it'd be better if you were to bring a truck to JCT instead of doing the lease? I'm considering leasing on. Okay, I'd say it really depends on what you're looking for there. You can probably do better with JCT if you have your own truck versus if you're leasing one, depending on that situation though. What you pay for truck payments and whatever your terms are, or if you even are paying truck payments. However, looking at it the other way, I'm not going to sugarcoat. They don't. My understanding is they don't pay contract drivers the best rates, or logistics drivers the best rates. Whereas you can probably get better rates booking your own freight, either through a carrier that just you run on our authority, and as long as you pay us 10% or so of your loads, you can run on our authority, book your own loads and all that, but you have to give us 10% of your load, your revenues. You can probably make more doing that, and there are avenues for that. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know enough about how much the the logistics drivers with JCT get paid. But yeah, you also can drive under JCT's authority with your own truck. Kind of a lease to JCT thing, whatever, and get paid the same mileage rate that I get paid, and whatever. You don't have access to load boards or whatever, but yeah, that is kind of an option. Just not everybody needs the most profits possible. Maybe you might like JCT because you want some kind of a network of people you can interact with on a regular basis. You know, where you can establish friendships with other drivers or fellowships or whatever, or even people in the office. Everybody has their own values on that, so would it be better? For every person I ask to answer that question for, it could be completely different. And I would say it really depends on what your personal needs are. And a lot of drivers have that mentality that the only good need is max out your profits. You know, they make the most money possible, but making the most money possible isn't always what's important to some drivers. Some people just like the environment and the route network that we have, or whatever, and they don't have to get paid the top dollar. In fact, when I pay off my truck this summer, and after I end up eventually taking the title over, I put thought into that, whether I want to stay at JCT or move on to somewhere else, or run logistics loads with JCT. And at the moment, I'm leaning toward just staying where I'm at. I like the network of people I have. I have kind of a social network here I can work with and interact with, and good people. And as I said, my wife works full time. It's not like I have to make a big top dollar. And even with the paid off truck staying with JCT, we get paid what JCT pays. I can have plenty of money I can throw in every single week into my investment account and have it start making more and more money for me. So I don't need to have that mentality that a lot of the drivers will have. For you personally, it might. It really depends on what your own needs are. Okay, it's the 465. Yeah, we're getting into Rochelle now, and we're about just over 20 miles away from my turn. I know this video's going to start getting kind of on the longer side here, but the more I talk, the more scenery you guys get to. So yeah, I'll try to make sure I just I'll put some bookmarks in the description, so you'll know, like, all right, I'm starting to ramble on something and you don't want to just keep listening to this story. You can just jump to the next question using the bookmarks in the description. Might help you guys out here. Alright, let me get out of this area here first. Okay, and looks like that's going to be it for those. Actually, yeah, I do have more though. Okay, actually, going back a little bit more. The lease program video again. What is it with Challengers in Texas? I swear, Texas has an obscene number of Dodge Challenger drivers. I never realized that until today when I stopped for fuel first at the Stripes in Fort Stockton on I-10, and then I stopped at the Flying J and exit down so I can get a shower. While I'm at the Flying J, there were 3 different Chargers in that parking lot at the same time, and then I saw another Challenger going westbound on I-10 before I got onto 190, which is the highway I'm on right now, and then I just saw another Challenger going the other way right now. So it's just kind of interesting. That's a very popular car here, it seems. Okay, anyway, going back to that lease program video, T-Track. That's the name of the user, of the YouTuber. Wants to know, do I own my own truck now? I keep hearing not to do a lease purchase. What do you say you need to think about before and during the lease purchase? Okay, that's a really good question. And yeah, a lot of people will swear don't ever touch a lease purchase, especially if you're leasing through the carrier that you drive for, which like JCT. A lot of people have bad experiences with it, and it comes down to, again, what is your personal need and what is your personal situation. Generally speaking, I can chalk this up to two important factors here on whether or not a lease purchase is going to be okay, a decent idea, an okay idea for you. One, how good are you at budgeting your money? Now, are you one of those spending all your every bit of money you have every time you see a dollar in your account, or are you capable of stashing some of that money away into a separate account and making it available for future use? Paying your taxes that you have to pay every quarter for your lease program, or maybe investing it, or saving up for something else. Now, if you have a mentality where you can budget your money, don't go over a certain amount, and it's the same like with when I buy my fuel. When I am on a certain amount of, when I'm getting dispatched for a certain number of miles, I can set a budget for how many dollars worth of fuel I want to limit myself to buying on that particular trip, as much as I can. One of them's going to be, because I always want to know what the national average price is. I talked about that earlier while I was going through Brady. Whatever the national average price is, basically divide that by 7, or I divide my miles, my dispatched miles by 7, and then multiply it by the national average price of fuel, and that gives me a budget to try to stay below. And it also tells me how many gallons of fuel to plan on buying for that trip. So on a regular 3,000 mile week at 7 miles per gallon, I should plan on buying 428 gallons of fuel. The national average price is $3.72, at least it was last week. I don't know what it is right now, we'll find out later. 428 times $3.72 per gallon. Come on. Then I should budget about $1,592 for my fuel purchases. Now, we get a fuel surcharge, and the higher the national average is, the higher the fuel surcharge is to offset that. Where if you always buy the exact amount of fuel and that exact fuel price per gallon, you're paying out of pocket about $1.30 per gallon with JCT's program. Alright, so I know I'm kind of going a little bit around part of the question here. I will be getting to that though, so I'm not ignoring it. But that is an important detail to explain to you guys. So if I budget for $1,592, then I use my expense calculator thing that's in the spreadsheet that I talk about in that same video. You can go check that video out if you're not sure what I'm talking about. You'll see that I have a spreadsheet, and I can put in there how many miles I'm doing, how many gallons of fuel I need, how much in dollars it should cost me, and it should come out to my take-home pay will be an exact amount. I know exactly to the dollar how much I should be taking home that particular paycheck based on those numbers that I put in there. Now there are a little bit of add-ins in there, like 75-cent fees for every time I use my EFS card to buy fuel. So there's that, but that's a nominal amount I don't really care about. I just need to be in the right ballpark. Now, if I budget for $1,592, but I only buy $1,400 worth of fuel that week, then what I'm going to end up with is a paycheck that is $192 larger than what I should have gotten based on, my budget. And if you can manage your personal budget the same way, where you always have money you're setting aside from your settlements for taxes or investing, and or a rainy day, like when your truck's in the shop and you're not making any money. Case in point, my truck was in the shop for almost 2 weeks. My last delivery, the end of the year, was delivered on January 3rd. And then I put it in the shop on the 4th, and I did not get it back until I think the 16th or so. Somewhere around there. So it was close to 2 weeks that it was in the shop. I'm not getting paid while that's going on, and I have expenses that come out. I have fixed expenses. The $120 a week minimum truck payments, my insurance, Qualcomm rental, that kind of stuff. It all adds up to about $300 a week. Or add in my child support, it's closer to $500 per week that I'm in the hole every time I don't get paid for any miles. Now, this particular case, I had money set aside in my investment account. Not a big deal. It'd be nice to not have to use that money, but it's there if I need it. I can get by with. I was going to also say something else on that too. Yeah, so I was in the hole closer to $500. Well, I could have been in the hole closer to $500, but we ended up getting a 30 cent per mile bonus pay for running during certain days on the holiday season. I think December 21st up to January 4th or something along that line. Any miles you ran, they paid you an extra 30 cents per mile. And that actually kept me from having a negative settlement just because of that. Otherwise, I would have been in the hole. The next week, I'm in the hole, $475 or whatever it is. And then this week, I don't think I'll be getting paid any miles again. So, guess what? I'm not going to have anything. I might get saved by the fact that I have a safety bonus coming in soon, and it's going to be over $700 safety bonus. But I'm still going to be in the hole by a good $300 or so. So that's been 2 weeks of not getting paid anything at all. And I still have bills to pay and stuff like that. And it's turned out it's not that big a deal because I have money set aside to work and to get by with for exactly that reason. I have it set aside for investing, taxes, and when my truck's in the shop or something and I get in a pinch, no problem. I have money to work with there. I'm not scrounging for, I'm trying to borrow money from family or friends or whatever just to get by, or wanting to quit my lease driver position because I can't afford to do this anymore. So if you can budget, you'll be much better off with the lease purchase program than you will if you don't budget at all. Second part of that, if you are single or if you're married and your spouse works full time, those are the two best types of people to have in a lease contract. Because if you're single, especially if you don't really have much for bills, there are a number of single OTR drivers who are like, well, why would I need to pay for an apartment or something if I'm not going to be in it and I'm hardly ever going to see it anyway? 478 mile marker, so we're about 20 miles ago. Actually about 5 miles from Richland Springs. We're going to make our turn in San Saba though. Okay, but yeah, if you're single, you don't have bills, you have a lot more discretionary income, as if you might put it, to work with, where you can stash more money aside into a side account so that it can be used for those purposes that I already previously mentioned. If you're married and your spouse works full time and you're not in a position where you absolutely have to work to make ends meet and to put food on people's plates, tables or whatever, and a roof over people's heads, it's not going to affect you as much either. But if you're married and you're the sole breadwinner, the only person who makes any money in your family, and it's even more so if you have kids and as a family unit you're not good at budgeting, I'm not going to blame your spouse. It could be you guys combined not budgeting correctly, or it could just be your spouse who doesn't work, having the spend money habit when you want to save it. Either way, if you're always living paycheck to paycheck, don't do lease purchase. You're not gonna survive it. Almost guarantee that. Okay, hope that helps you out on that part. And the other part on the T-Track, you wanted to know if I own my truck now. I do not own it yet. However, my balance, now I originally leased this truck. It's a 2016 Peterbilt 579. I had already had 281,000 miles on it when I first got into the lease with this truck. And it was, I think a $126,000 contract that I did originally. I am currently down to about 17,000 left on it. Had my truck not gone into the shop for 2 weeks, I would have been on pace to pay it off around mid to late June this year. But because it was in the shop, it's probably going to get pushed back to July. And also, when you have situations like that here, another little detail might help you out. If your truck's in the shop and you're not making money, sometimes you can ask them for a deferral. You can actually ask for a deferral of your truck payment. To help, so if you need help having money to pay bills with or eat whatever with, sometimes they'll help you out like that. And you can talk to a lady in our office by the name of Laura Watkins. She's our retention person. If you've ever been to our terminal, maybe you already drive for JCT and you're just not really sure who she is. If you know where you went for orientation, there's that main hallway when you first walk in the building. You go to the back of that hallway and there's the orientation room. Before you get there, right after you get past the breakdown office, if you hang a left and go down that other hallway, Laura is I think the last office on the right before you get in, right before you go into the DM's office. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what. I think Sheila, who handles the lease contracts, lease agreements, whatever, and then Angela, our permits lady, is in the next one down, and then Laura's in the office right after Angela's, if I remember correctly. So now you can always talk to her, call her up, whatever, and tell her, hey, my truck, or even ask your DM, hey, my truck was in the shop, and I'm seriously hurting financially right now. Is there any chance I can defer my truck payment for a week? And a lot of times they'll do that for you, but I've also heard them say, no, we're not going to do it because you've already done it enough times, and or maybe you're of questionable status with the company, perhaps. That could be another reason why they might deny you. Someone like me, I have a great reputation with the company, and I'm all for bringing people here for them who are right for them. And I'm not trying to make money off of them. It's just if you're going to come here, I want it to be you'd be the right person for JCT, and I want JCT to be the right company for you. You're the one who has to live with that decision. It's just money in the bank for me if you end up only if you even say that I referred you. You don't even have to do that. I don't really care. If you do come to JCT, but anyway, yeah, my truck will be paid off in July. I do still have an arrearage on my maintenance account from work that's been done that I'll have to pay down as well. And my plan on that, once the truck's paid off, I'm going to double down on probably go even higher on the maintenance payments. Because right now I'm paying 15 cents a mile. It's normally 5 cents a mile, or if you're in the hole on your account, they'll charge you 10 cents a mile. I'm paying 15 cents a mile voluntarily right now, and I'm probably going to go up on that, especially after we just got a pay raise, about a 7 cent per mile pay raise that started a couple of days ago. So I'm probably going to go ahead and tell them, go ahead and put an extra 5 cents a mile against my maintenance so I can help pay it down faster. And that's a good faith thing as well. Because you got to keep keep in mind there, if your maintenance account's in the red, JCT is fronting you the money. They are already paying the money out of their pockets to help keep your truck running. And so and it does get to a point where they're assuming a financial risk that you might not ever pay it back. You get like $10,000 in the hole on your maintenance account, and you're somebody they're not sure is going to stay with the company. They might tell you, yeah, we're not going to pay for that. because we're going to be out money regardless. I mean, you'll probably never pay it back or something. So they might be much less inclined to help you out here. But someone like myself who's got great status with the company, is very profitable for the company and myself. I got almost 150,000 miles logged in this last year, and those are good miles for JCT as well, and good profits for JCT. So yeah, they do bean counting like that. They want to know how much, over the long term, how much your truck is actually producing in profits for their bottom line. It's their name on the side of the truck, not yours. So that's something that also, if you're going to be doing this, keep that in mind. You're starting on running your own business, but don't forget that side of my truck says John Christner Trucking on it, not Scott Zane Trucking. If you're not going to run the truck in the better business interest of JCT, then you're going to run contrary to what you're going to have a conflict of interest there in some way between your business and theirs. And if there's too much of a conflict of interest there, guess what? Bye-bye. We're going to terminate your lease contract because you're just not doing us any good. You're costing us too much money. You're causing too many late arrivals or whatever. It's making us look bad for our customers, and it can cost us customers and routes. It can cost other drivers or whatever. They take that shit seriously, and I don't blame them. Put yourself in their shoes. When you want someone running your truck who's going to have an I don't give a shit mentality, I don't care how bad I make your company look for you, I wouldn't. I'd be telling you you're gone too if you don't want to run my name's on your truck. If you don't want to run it my way, then I wouldn't want you working there either. So I can't blame them. They assume a big risk, and my maintenance account is a fair amount in the red right now. And I think the only reason that it is as far in the red as it is because they know. Because I have a much more solid reputation within the company, and they know I'm not going anywhere, and I love it here, personally, for my own needs, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to pay this truck off, and I'm going to finish off the maintenance account. Once I don't have 22 cents a mile going to the truck, I'm going to add in 22 cents a mile, or maybe even 25 cents a mile to the maintenance account to get it where I want it to be, and then I'll start stacking up on my investment account again after that. So that's kind of how my plan is, my short and long-term plan. I like JCT, I like the route network, I like the people. I'm in a very comfortable place here, and I don't have a need to go taking off, going for higher dollars, and end up losing my network of friends or something. Okay, I got a few more questions. Actually, no, that one already covered from Khalifa. I didn't realize I had it both an email and on my note thing. Okay, I have a couple more from Brandon. I don't remember which video you asked this on, Brandon, but you had asked, I remember a video that you did for Florida International. Did that load ever get picked up? I believe you're talking about Florida Natural Citrus, or Florida Natural, whatever. I don't end up in Florida very often, personally. We do a good number of loads involving Florida, but I personally don't go there very often. Generally, once or twice a year is typical, but it's been a little bit more frequent recently. I think they've been actually increasing their activity in Florida, if I had to guess, but I could be wrong. I do have on my spreadsheet every single pickup and delivery I've ever done. I will include that information on here. I don't know which one you were talking about, but may or may not have done that pickup, whichever one you had in mind. I believe I did, but I don't recall. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and put a screenshot on my spreadsheet up to show you when I did. Every time I did a load involving Florida's natural. And I don't know if you're talking about the one in Umatilla, Florida, or if you're talking about the one in Lake Wales, Florida. I've done pickups in both locations, and I'm going to take a guess you're talking about the Umatilla location, because that was, I think the last 2 times I've done Florida natural loads, they both picked up from that location, if I remember correctly. Alright, and then the last one, this was much more recently asked by Brandon. Do receivers have dates and times for deliveries? I believe you asked this in the pickup video for the last load, or the delivery when I delivered out Waichon in Houston. I think that might have been where you asked that question at. And okay, so I'm going to give you this answer as it applies specifically to me as a reefer freight driver with JCT. I don't want you to paint this with, look at this with a broad brush stroke as it might apply to the entire trucking industry, because that's not accurate, not necessarily. For me specifically with reefer freight though, yeah, we almost always have a specific date and time they want us there by, and a lot of times the customers won't allow us to show up until within about an hour of our appointment time. Sometimes they'll let you show up early if you get there early. It doesn't hurt to call and ask, hey, is it okay if I deliver? Can I go ahead and check in? I'm already here. I'm like 18 hours early, or even a day, more than a day early. They may or may not accommodate you. They might say, we got too much going on, you're going to have to wait till your appointment time. Or they might say, we'll see if we can work you in. We think we might be able to hook you up. And they might go ahead and take you that way. So as far as reefer freight specifically is concerned, generally don't plan on just being able to deliver whenever you get there. Now, flatbed freight, my understanding is it's a little bit different there. Flatbed, now a lot of you guys who run flatbed can better explain this. My understanding is it tends to be a window. Okay, it's 494 mile marker. I got 4 miles to go to my turn in San Saba. Alright, so flatbedders, they're more likely to have a window, like where basically a more broad open window of what time in the morning to the afternoon they can make their deliveries by. Dude, stay out of my lane. What the fuck? Seriously? I think I was paying attention. Glad he didn't drift more than he did. Shit, man. Last thing I want to see is someone drifting right into me when I can't even react to it. That's not too fun. Now, I will say though, when I ran with Sierra England on the OTR side, there were occasionally loads that were what you call first come, first serve, FCFS. And that's generally what flatbed tends to be as well, from what I understand. They tend to be, so basically you show up anytime within a certain window, and they'll get you an order of when you show up relative to other drivers. Certain loads with JCT are like that too, but not very often. With Sierra England, I did a lot more of those FCFS type of deliveries. Actually, a lot of them are drop and hook on the receiving end, so I can just drop it as soon as I got there. And other times where it might be a live unload, but FCFS, so I can, as soon as I get there on the delivery day, as soon as they open up in the morning, whatever, that was an option to me. I need to put my map up, make sure I don't overshoot my. I know the 498 mile marker is what I'm looking for, because from past experiences driving through here, I recorded it on a notepad thing. That's where it really comes in handy. So I know exactly how I don't use GPS, so I just use a map, and and I kind of like knowing how many miles away I am from different spots. I just do my simple math and figure it out. It's not just to my next turn or to my destination. I can tell you, using that notepad thing, when I'm getting on to 190, how far I am from Menard, or from Iran, or Brady, or whatever, just doing simple subtraction. Okay, I believe I'm about 2 miles away from my turn. Maybe I'll get lucky in this load safe guy or whatever will stay on 190. Got me so sidetracked, forgot what I was even talking about. Oh yeah, with the delivery times and stuff. So yeah, that kind of gives you a pretty good idea on that. Just depends on the customer, the specific customer in question, and how they do things. Yeah, I do a lot of Tyson, JBS, Walmart, whatever. Sometimes those Tyson and JBS loads go to different random customers that I've never heard of, and you never know how things go with them. But if I go to larger places like, say, a Walmart DC, then you can forget about it. It's they say you will need to be there at such and such date and such time. Be there at such and such date and such time. Don't be there any more than an hour before that. Alright, so we're in San Saba. That covers all the questions that I believe I have right at the moment. And that was quite a bit of coverage there, over an hour, I'm sure. So apologize if that was a lot of ramble. Like I say, I'll have bookmarks in the description for you guys if you want to kind of skip ahead to from question to question. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and we'll have some more footage for you guys pretty soon here. Actually, when I get near Waco and it's time to make my turn. All right, so we'll see you guys all then. Hope you enjoyed, and if you have more questions, add them in as comments here in the posts, any of my videos, or you can also email them to me at zaniac1273@gmail.com. It's ZANIAC. All right. You guys all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.